Let's take the example of climate change. We have but one world, and of course citizens in both the Pacific and the European Union share concerns and aspirations about tackling climate change. Over the last 20 years in Europe, green or environmental issues have become part of the political mainstream and part of people's daily lives. The European Union has adopted the world's most stringent set of climate and energy targets to be met by 2020, known in Europe as the 20-20-20 targets. A reduction in EU greenhouse gas emissions of at least 20%, a minimum of 20% of European Union energy consumption to come from renewable energy, and a 20% energy efficiency target. But I would like to commend New Zealand for being one of the first countries to join us in taking action against climate change, namely through its emissions trading scheme, through its pioneering role on renewables, especially hydro and increasingly wind power, and for having championed the Global Research Alliance on Agricultural Greenhouse Gases. Climate does not have to be and should not become a partisan topic. And indeed, in Europe I can say it is not. The left, right and centre all acknowledge that action is possible and necessary. So I say to you that the scientific evidence is there and the responsibility to act belongs to all of us. This mainstreaming of environmental issues in Europe naturally takes on a global dimension, reflecting the impacts of climate change. There is increasing understanding in Europe that the Pacific Ocean is of vital importance for the future of the planet. If I may echo the words of the writer Arthur C. Clarke, how inappropriate to call this planet hers when it is clearly ocean. Yesterday, I met with Prime Minister Key and leaders of the Pacific Island Forum to discuss our joint approach in the run-up to the 17th United Nations Climate Change Conference in Durban this year and to the UN Conference on Sustainable Development in Rio next year. These events offer great opportunities for our two regions to join forces in support of common objectives and also to shape the international debate. This region is historically among the least responsible for causing climate change, but it is the first to suffer its consequences, and these are predicted to intensify in the coming years. The European Union is a key ally of the Pacific in this regard, and is working closely with Pacific partners to ensure that a fair share of international climate funds can be allocated to this part of the world, and that they can be used in an effective and just manner. Just yesterday, in a working dinner with the leaders of the Pacific Islands, I was once again really impressed by what they told me about what can happen to their small island states. And I think, and I told them this, I told them how important it is that that voice is better heard globally, that the climate change threat is not for tomorrow, it's happening now, and that we have to act as urgently as possible in this matter. Climate change in this region, moreover, aggravates the already substantial challenges to creating sustainable economic development in certain Pacific states. We are determined to play our part in redressing this. We are, after all, the second largest donor to the Pacific, and we are now bringing together our development and climate change support to maximize coherence. We are also enhancing our coordination with New Zealand and Australia to help ensure that aid is delivered in a way that is adapted to the capacities and needs of the Pacific countries. The coordination is of great importance to us, given the special role that New Zealand and also Australia play as regional donors. Development cooperation is a central pillar of the Cotonou Agreement, which governs the European Union's relations with 78 African, Caribbean and Pacific countries, including the 15 Pacific Island countries. Cotonou is the world's largest financial and political framework for North-South cooperation, amounting to a total of 720 million euro over the period 2008-2013. But Cotonou is not just about assistance. It establishes a comprehensive relationship comprising political and trade components, as well as human rights, democratic principles, the rule of law, and good governance. These are values that the European Union actively promotes and defends, both within our borders and when engaging in relations with non-EU countries. If these core human values are not respected, the European Union cannot turn a blind eye. And in the Pacific context, I must refer here to Fiji. Fiji is a long-standing partner of the European Union as a Cotonou signatory country. I remember coming to Fiji in the end of the 80s, last century, when, as Minister for Development Cooperation, I was precisely engaging in this dialogue between Europe and the countries of the Pacific in development matters. However, with the 2008 coup, Fiji violated its obligations under the Cotonou Agreement. As a result, the European Union was compelled to suspend 80 million euros of development assistance to Fiji. We have, however, been able to continue providing assistance to the Fijian people to the tune of 600,000 euros per year, in particular through direct support to civil society, channeled through NGOs. The European Union has pursued this approach in close consultation with our partners, including, of course, New Zealand, as part of the international community's united stance to exert pressure on that regime. Today we see little, if any, positive developments. The repressive regime remains in place. The socio-economic situation has worsened. Against this background, there is an evident need for supporting, of course, the Fiji people, but keeping the pressure on the regime. That is why we will continue our search for a solution that returns democracy to the people of Fiji. We believe strongly that the people of Fiji, who already suffer enough from mismanagement and oppression, should not fall victim also to side effects of our sanctions. We therefore intend to increase the targeted support we are providing to the population without involving the authorities. And allow me to contrast this negative example in the region with a much more positive and encouraging case. Timor-Leste, or East Timor, has overcome formidable challenges since it gained independence in 2002. Its past included underdevelopment, civil war, occupation, but also an awe-inspiring demonstration of the power of the people's will, democracy, and dialogue. Now it is joining the ranks of development success stories. It is among the 10 fastest growing economies in the world, and poverty has been reduced by 9% in less than 3 years. This success is first and foremost due to the country's own efforts, its determination to find and pursue its path by building a democracy in very difficult social and structural circumstances. But the international community has also played a key role, including your own important contribution to peacekeeping in Timor-Leste. As for the European Union, we have provided more than 800 million euros in development assistance to Timor-Leste since 1999. Allow me here to add a brief personal note, given that I was personally involved as a foreign minister of my country in the efforts to give the East Timorese the right to self-determination. In fact, I initiated the dialogue with Indonesian authorities under the auspices of the Secretary General that created the possibility to have a referendum in that country. Back then, many told me, we will never succeed. Real political reasons. It is impossible independence of Timor-Leste. The doubters said that realpolitik consideration would always prevail over human rights concerns. They were wrong. East Timor is the example that there are causes worth fighting for, that cynics are not always right. And this is important to remember when we are witnessing and supporting the events of the Arab Spring in 2011. So we should keep our commitment to fight for democracy, even when some people tell us that for several reasons this is not possible. I'd like to close this address by paying particular tribute to the European Union's relations with New Zealand itself. New Zealand is not just a unique and prosperous economy. It is also a stable democracy of long-standing, a pioneer even when it comes to progress like the right of women to vote, setting a formidable standard in terms of human rights and fundamental freedoms. Our former relationship today is based on our joint declaration of 2007. This frames our relations in development policy, education, environment, trade, fisheries, and has proved very successful. It is due to be reviewed in 2012, and we will need to decide together what we should put in its place. I hope we'll both aim for a strong and ambitious partnership, one we pursue bilaterally and in multilateral fora. Moreover, your support and cooperation on specific regional issues and with the European Union's police mission in Afghanistan is invaluable. That is why the European Union also stands ready to assist you whenever possible, as we did mobilizing our civil protection mechanism following the Christchurch earthquake. Let me finish by thanking you for the past sacrifices New Zealanders have made to to secure peace and freedom in Europe. For our strong alliance today, and for an even stronger partnership based on our many shared values and interests in the future, Europe and the European Union will continue to be your close and friendly partners. I thank you for your attention.